Hey, how you doing? You want to chat about riding on the path real quick? That'd be great.
Hi everybody, I'm Jonathan Maas, the publisher and editor of BikePortland. I've spent years covering our local car-free paths, from the I-205 path to Marine Drive, the Springwater, Esplanade, and there have been a number of unfortunate incidents over the years, but it does seem like recently there's been an uptick both of people driving on them and other events that are very unfortunate and scary for a lot of people. So I wanted to get out there, take a look at it firsthand myself, and just talk to regular Portland folks who are out enjoying the paths. Here's what I heard.
Yeah, I live just about Hawthorne and 7th, and so I'm on these paths pretty much a couple times a week, 3 or 4 times a week.
How do you feel in general, just in terms of like personal safety and just general vibes?
I think that actually along this corridor on the Eastbank, it's pretty safe. I've never run into any issues. I know that there's people hanging out, but that's pretty much it. Everyone's usually minding their own business.
Have you seen some of the videos online of like people driving on some of these paths, and especially on the Springwater?
Yes, I have. I haven't run into anything like that myself, but I don't look forward to the day. I know that drivers are often pretty stubborn about the accessibility that we have.
What would you say to people that are maybe on the fence or wondering, could I bring my mom out here, my kids, whatever? What would you say to those folks?
I mean, as soon as you're on a bike, you kind of forget about it. At least that's my experience. Just kind of keeping the pedals going. And I mean, you see things as you go by, but you just kind of go by and do your thing. My best advice is just get out here and see it for yourself.
I ride on the Esplanade almost every day. It's how I get downtown. I think that some of the paths need some construction work on them, but just like smoother ride. Other than that, I've actually really enjoyed this like part of my commute, like safety wise. I felt a little bit less so when I was went over through the Springwater corridor, especially like the parts where like it's like more like in the forest and a little bit secluded, and I was like, it's getting dark and there's people around and I didn't know what was going on. A little bit nervous, but still overall safe. But I've never seen a car on the path, thank goodness. That sounds terrifying. I've been riding this path almost every day for the past month or so. Generally pretty safe, yeah. It's good to be prepared. Like I don't like go into I don't go downtown without carrying pepper spray. So it's like the idea of like it's safe, and it's always better to be prepared than sorry.
Anything else you want to say?
Ride the bikes. Bikes are better than cars.
I start, over there by Division, and I often go all the way towards Gresham and then back. So it ends up being about a 20-mile ride.
And what's your experience in general, safety-wise?
Stretch between the train tracks and Selwood, I feel super good. It's the other part where it's really isolated. Sometimes I get a little sketched out when I'm by myself. There's just folks out there, and there's not a lot of other cyclists, so I don't always love that. I don't always do that part.
Have you ever seen like anybody driving on the paths or any other kind of weird thing?
I haven't, actually. I've seen some like motorized, not the motorized bikes, but more like kind of like a moped kind of thing, but people have to live somewhere too. But I have heard of people being attacked, and especially folks kind of down by Johnson Creek, and the folks, the people who live in houses there. There's been, I know some people who've been hurt. Yeah.
Well, what about folks that may, maybe they're sitting at home and they don't come out here a lot, don't really see it, but they start to believe what they see in the media and get too afraid? What do you have to say to folks like that?
Well, have they been downtown? Because the rest of the country thinks downtown Portland is the scariest, most worst place in the world, and that's just a story. That's just not true. So it's not my experience on this path, but, one bad incident can make people think like, oh my God, it's so dangerous. But, it's just one person.
How's this thing work on the bike? How does this look?
Well, so far I've been really pleased at how many people I see out here. If there's a feeling that the paths are getting more dangerous and less desirable to use, you certainly wouldn't know it by seeing not just how many people are out here, but the diversity of folks that are out here, ages, types of riders, all kinds of different folks are out enjoying these paths. And I haven't talked to anybody who's really concerned about the safety yet.
I love it. It's part of my routine, my life. It's one of the things that I love about Milwaukee is having access to this trail and the trolley trail also. I just bought a house in Milwaukee, and it's honestly, it was one of the reasons why. It's where I can relax and get outside and not worry about cars, and I get to enjoy my bike. I love my bike, and it's part of my life.
And how about safety in general? I've been hearing from folks that they see more people driving on the paths, and there's been some stuff in the news. I'm curious what your experiences have been.
A little bit, but it hasn't really taken away from my experience. I'm not too worried. I've seen, there's a lot of homeless. Sometimes I ride all the way to Gresham, and there's definitely more homeless people over there, and some of them are troubled. But for the most part, they just leave you alone. They're just really self-destructive, not like going after people in any way. I mean, everybody's got their own experience and viewpoints about like that, but to me, I don't feel unsafe.
Thanks, Ruben. Bye-bye.
I take the path to work and then we ride for fun. We like it a lot. It's a great little path. It's really well maintained. We like to take it down to downtown Milwaukee and hang out at the bay. We sometimes stop at 52nd, sometimes 72nd. We don't ride after dark. Definitely don't take the kids near the 205 area. There's concerns about crime, I would say definitely in the east and closer into the river, but give it a try and get comfortable and then see how you feel about it.
One thing I've heard from talking to people today is that safety in numbers really comes into play on these paths. In parts of the path where there are fewer people tend to feel more at risk, especially women and folks that are just generally feeling less safe by themselves. So that is a vote for getting out here and riding on these paths. I've been trying to stress that ever since the beginning of this narrative about the lack of safety on these paths, is that the worst thing we can do is choose to not ride on them. Of course, everybody's decision is their own, and I fully respect people's need for personal safety in whatever decision they make. But if you're able to, the more people we can get on these paths, the better it's going to be for everyone.
Holly and Dottie.
You ride these paths a lot?
Yeah, most days.
What's your experience in general?
It's been good. Commute to work on them. People seem really polite and communicative about taking turns, sharing the space, passing. I guess I'd say I'd probably avoid it a little bit with my kids at night, just especially when there's more camping.
Anything you want to share about folks who may be thinking of whether or not they should bring their kids out on the path?
I mean, I take mine all the time. Feels very safe. There's dogs, there's kids on bikes, there's people on e-bikes and stuff. There's all different speeds people are going, and it really, I don't see a lot of recklessness, which is nice.
Anything you want to share about it?
When we go down that way on the path, we see some animals like nutria and bunnies. We once saw a snake.
Well, I hope you see some more today.
Cool.
Bye.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Well, that's all I've got time for today. I've got to start making my way home. I hope hearing about these folks' experiences will give you a better context for making decisions and trying to think about how you feel about riding on the Esplanade and Springwater and other paths. Maybe in the future I'll get a little bit more far afield, get out to 205 area, but I enjoy being out here. For me, the takeaway was that it's really not as bad as it's been made to seem in the media. I know I've been writing quite a bit about some bad incidents on BikePortland, and while those things are certainly valid and important that we understand that they are happening, there are lots of people out here using these paths and enjoying them very much. So I hope you get a chance to do the same, and my advice is to just get out, have your own experiences. Until next time, I'll see you out on the streets.